Hi everyone, that wake you all up? Good. So before I get started today, I've had a really good day today, but the last time I came to London, not quite so good. And I went to this conference about internationalization of e-commerce, and as exciting as it sounds, it actually was. And we get to about 3 o'clock at this conference, and one of the ladies with us utters the one word you want to hear at a conference, and that's pub. So we toddled down the road anyway, going by this nice warm pint of Peroni for £7.50, which obviously pleased me endlessly. But during the day, I've met this guy called Dave, and you always get a Dave at an event. And realistically, like this person, they can be a little bit jarring. And Dave actually got a special mention in my branded notebook from this event because he was a bit of a knob. And the reason he's a bit of a knob is because when I first actually got introduced to him and he held out his hand, he says this to me after I say, so I'm Adam, I'm the co-founder of a CRO agency. And Dave literally looks at me like this and says, oh yeah, all that CRO button changing stuff. Yeah, that's a good way to make a few quid. And I'm like, yeah, Dave, that's exactly what I do. And obviously he gets a slap on the back from all the lads in the pub. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's basically me sorting out buttons all day. Yeah, that is what I get paid to do. So with that, I get pretty angry. I tell Dave to piss off. I punch him. I then get bundled off in the police car. And then, yes, some of that was made up. Okay, so obviously I don't drink Peroni. But the point is, guys, I wanted to sort of like tell you this silly story because ultimately, when it comes to thinking about CRO, which was what I want to tell you about, these are some of the main misconceptions about CRO. And what I want to do today is for you guys to say, look, practicality, what does CRO mean? How do we do it? What sort of shit should we be doing? And what sort of shit shouldn't be doing? Sound fair? Cool. So before I get into that bit, my name is Adam Pearce, as I said, and this is the how-to guide on what to do, when to do it, and also what to expect. Hi, webcam. Have we got any comments yet, Zach?
Not yet.
Bollocks. Okay, I'll carry on. Anyway, some of you might have thought, look, is that James Corden's better looking younger brother? It's not. My name is Adam, and what I do is I'm the co-founder of an agency called Blend Commerce that I set up with my brother-in-law about 9 years ago. Now, what we do as an agency is that we work predominantly with Shopify brands, but we also do CRO for brands on custom platforms, Magento, whatever it might be, and predominantly working with brands in the UK and the US. Our thing, really, our stick, if you like, is that ultimately we want to get retailers, customers, buying now, buying again, or buying more. Those three simple things that probably all of you in the room want to be able to do. So that is what we do. And obviously, we've won awards and all that kind of shit that put on these slides. But look, if you need to see that, that's all there. And we'll quickly move on. So step one. The thing with CRO is, and I'm sure, look, some of the other agencies and some of you in teams can probably attest to this, is that in e-commerce, we have this very positive idea of, look, let's go and start doing stuff straight away and we'll do this and we'll do that and the other. And you kind of get to that point, you're like, why are we doing this? Has anyone had those kind of conversations 3 months, 6 months into a project? And look, in all honesty, it happens exactly the same as CRO, because the thing is, like, you probably, all of you, either in your own mind, if you're the founders, or if you are an e-commerce manager or a director, you've probably got these three things. Look, getting people to buy when they come onto the site, get them to buy more, or actually getting them to buy again. So before you can kind of get to that point of saying, well, what do we need to do? Which one of those three things is most important to us right now? And equally, are those three things going to be really important in the same way as they will be now in 3 months down the line? So you've got to kind of keep revisiting that and seeing, is that still the case? Now, the question for you is, where are you now? And a lot of you going, oh, I don't bloody know, like, I don't know, somewhere in between, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of the other. But I think, you know, if you look at this diagram on here, which we call the buy trifecta, because it sounds cool, but ultimately it simplifies the situation of CRO, doesn't it? If people aren't buying, well, it's probably because your conversion rate is lower by now. If customers aren't spending enough, i.e. your average order value is lower than you want it to be, or finally, if customers hardly ever return, and your retention rate or purchase frequency is down, the buying again piece is probably not where it needs to be. And that white blob in the middle, that's basically what CRO is for us. We are trying to make sure where there is overlap, that we are focusing on that white bit and making sure that you guys and brands have got what they need. But the thing is, what you are going to do is find out exactly right now where you are. And you're going to do that by going to this URL, benchmarks.blendcommerce.com. Now, while you do that, grab your phone out, grab your laptop out, whichever one you want to do. This is an AI-based tool that we have built that will give you an assessment on your store. Now, it will work for the vast majority of you. Some of you might have restrictions in terms of your sites and what data or what it will allow to us to crawl. But what this tool does is it will give you the opportunity to get some benchmarks, first of all, on buy now, buy more, buy again, as well as giving you some recommendations of some of the things that you could look into from a CRO perspective. Now, it takes probably just kind of like a couple of minutes to fill it in. If you're watching on the webcam as well, guys, benchmarks.blendcommerce.com. Fill that in. I'm just going to have a little wander around and maybe play some hold music on my phone for a minute or two, and then we'll come back to that. Just once you've filled that in, just leave that on your phone and it will do the work in the background. It takes about a minute and a half for it to actually produce for you. So I'll just give you a second just to fill that in. And none of your data is stored in this, just to clarify that. Bless you. If you don't know the specific figures at the moment, just put in what roughly you remember it being last time you checked. It's going to give you some pointers about kind of where you are in comparison to your industry peers as well.
Seems like we overloaded the tool, man.
It crashed.
Yeah.
Just
maybe like a lot of people.
Okay. Well, if we're not successful with it, then we'll
just take a picture of the slide.
Yeah, we'll send it around afterwards as well. Okay, cool. Thanks, Paul. So we'll come back to that a little bit later on. Now, that's the first part. We need to kind of work out where we are, and you can do that on different varying levels of information and data that you've got. But the question then is, well, if you've worked out, is it buy now, buy more, buy again? What do you actually need to do on site? Now, the thing is, I talk to a lot of e-commerce managers, and I hear this term about a gut feeling. Has anyone ever heard of this before? Yeah, there's a few people laughing, so okay, you get it. But ultimately, again, look, this is the thing, isn't it, with business, and it's a hard one to kind of balance. There has to be that element of gut feel in business. That as an entrepreneur or a working entrepreneurial company, it's got to be there. But there's also got to be a bit of a balance of, okay, well, what are our customers actually doing rather than what we think they're doing? And that's always a trade-off in companies. But the one thing that I hear a lot is like, look, our product bundles on the site, they're shit. People aren't buying them, okay? And that's where the AOV is crap. Okay. But to work that out, we can do a few things to validate that. Now, the first one is that we can use heat maps. Now, I'm sure some of you in the room have used Microsoft Clarity or have used Hotjar. And what you would want to do here is using these tools, get about 2 weeks worth of data. And what it will then do to answer that gut feel question would be some of the questions that here. So for example, what percentage of visitors are actually even interacting with that product bundle functionality that you guys have got on site? Secondly, what proportion of visitors, when they've interacted with that, piss off and go somewhere else? Or thirdly, what actually happens when people do interact it and then go through beyond the site and buy. So all of these different journeys off the back of it, you will then start to be able to see some patterns evolving to then give you a gut feeling of, okay, well, look, are our bundles crap? Or is actually the way that we're presenting the information, or actually the context of the text that we're giving to them on that screen that might be having some kind of issue? The second thing is well, GA4. So look, what is the specific conversion rate with bundles? Conversion rate by traffic source of bundles. We see this all the time. Your meta traffic versus your organic traffic versus your, in some cases now, ChatGPT traffic, they are going to have very different journeys depending on which of those different sources they come from. And equally as well, then things like abandoned cart rate, let's not now look at it as an overall piece. Let's look at it as a specific source for that particular traffic, as well as for that particular product. So we just would then say, drill down, drill down, drill down to try and answer that question. And then last but not least, there's a really cool app called CRO. What CRO does is actually does some of the analysis for you in terms of your full funnel from actually your ads all the way through to the landing page, and will give you some recommendations on what you can do to improve the profitability. Well, I'd say most of the time, the return on ad spend. I would love to say, like G mentioned, that to profitability, but the performance, I guess, in the sense of those ads. Now, what you might be saying in your mind is, and I'm sure Paul is thinking this, and I've used a cheeky picture of Paul here, his hair was a little bit longer, just a little bit. Paul might be saying, yeah, but what about a real example? And I'm sure some of you are saying that. Well, what I'm going to do is give you this one now. We worked last year with a gardening brand in the UK, and what we saw with them is that they had a situation in their data where we could see that, number one, in Shopify Analytics, PayPal was the method of choice. The second thing that we also saw is that the LTV of PayPal customers was a lot higher than the second best choice in terms of payment method. So what we're saying there is we've used a little bit of that data. Off the back of that, then, all we're going to do very simply is replace those credit card logos with the PayPal. Fairly simple stuff. Off the back of it, 16% increase in conversion rate. So a lot of the time as CRO, the things that we're doing technically, developer-wise, not really that technical. It's more the fact that time needs to be spent on digging down into data to be able to then work out what it is that you need to do. Now, was anyone able to get a result from that link that I sent earlier on, or no? Or just you were okay? And what was your result? Where were you in terms of the buy?
It said we're fantastic. There's no room for improvement.
Beautiful.
It said that. I don't actually know my conversion rate. I'm putting 3.15. It's
Yep.
The average is 3.85, but it could be we are 3.85. Don't know.
Yeah.
Our average order value was low. I mean, it's obviously, it was comparing it with premium quality accessories or something that were 85. It said 97 is the average. And I put our returning customers is 16%. And then in the past it's been 12%, but it's been a fast growing website. And, 16% is probably generous at the moment. It's suggesting that should be 23%. So it's showing that all of those areas there is potential to improve. And I'm just reading the summary rather than listening to you because it's quite a long executive summary.
Good stuff. I mean, look, there's a lot of information on there, and I think, look, would you say that was kind of what is described there, kind of pretty much what you'd expect, or any sort of surprises on based on what you've read?
I mean, it's always difficult to compare us because we're doing sort of premium products, brands, we like to do the accessories from Barber, we do the bottle of kitchenware, and then find our own brands. We offer personalization as well. So it's hard to find direct comparison. You get other people that are sort of focused on maybe cheaper personalized gifts like giftspersonalized.com, people like maybe more markets of leather goods that would like Aston or London. So it's not directly comparative. But I think those figures are probably fair. We're well aware that we're probably not doing a good job on getting customers coming back to us. That's one of the key. That's why I'm here today. Well, Paul asked me to catch up, but it's we can't keep pouring money at Google. It's just going to get more and more expensive. You're going to get diminishing returns. So if we're making so little money now, we lose money, we keep pouring money at paid Google. So we've got to be smart. We've got to be smart with SEO. We've got to be smart with CRO. We've got to be smart with retaining the clients. And I'm sure that applies to everyone. In a tough economy, which we're going to have at best for the next few years, you can't just spend your way out. You've got to be doing everything's got to be much more optimized, just looking after that customer.
No, I completely agree, and I think what's definitely I think changed over the past 12 months to 2 years is that look, and some of you may have experienced this, is that there is sometimes a misconception that look, you can do PPC for 12 months and then you leave that, and then you do SEO for 12 months and you leave that, and so on and so forth. And I think it's a little bit of everything. And obviously, look, I would say that, wouldn't I? Because I am one of those agencies, but ultimately at the same time, I think even Chris this morning, one of your business partners at G Lux, he did a post about the fact that ultimately they are focusing on PPC, but as much money as you throw at that, if the site's not converting, it doesn't really make much odds to your bottom line or your net profitability that G talked to us a lot about. So just some kind of food for thought on that one. Now, the other point then is, once we have looked a little bit at this, what or how are we going to decide what to do? Now, does this represent anyone else's theory on their website? Throw some shit at the wall and see if it sticks. I've seen it plenty of times, and I have actually signed a new client this week who uses the exact phrase with me: we have been throwing shit at the wall for far too long. And the point is, I do not want you to do that. So how the hell do you avoid it? Now, what I would recommend is, and if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I will send you the sheet on how to do this. We use something called PEPT. Now, if you imagine, if we're looking at a site, we look at Google Analytics, we look at your data from Magento or Shopify, whatever it might be, and we look at Hotjar. Off the back of that, we will then have some hunches off the back of what we've seen, and we can validate that with different bits of data. So we might have, for example, 100 recommendations for a store. Jesus, we haven't got time to do all that. No. So what we've got to do is we need to prioritize those things, and we do that with this thing called PEPT. So proof in the sense of, look, what evidence have we got that this thing actually works? How many times have we done it before with other clients, or how many times have we done something similar internally in the business to give it a score out of 5 that would make it stronger or weaker in terms of P? Ease in terms of, look, okay, level of complexity. Is this something that's going to be really tough to do? Are we going to need to bring external help to do it? And then in terms of cost, well, cost in terms of time, but also, do we need apps for this? Do we need external providers? There is always going to be an element you need to think about with that. And then time, obviously, in terms of how long it takes to implement it and get it ready. But importantly, impact, what will the actual uplift be? Are we expecting a 10% uplift in AOV, or are we expecting a 2% uplift in conversion rate? If we're focused on profitability, which one of those levers is more important to us? So this is all information that you'll be talking about, but what this method does is it will give you something like this, and it's a bit difficult to see, but what happens is that on the left-hand side, each of the items that you guys have got in your discussions internally, or you might have, the typical snag list, shit list, whatever you're going to call it for the website, you can go through those, rank it, and then you'd have a score out of 100. Goes from 100 all the way down. You can then know which is the highest priority to then implement from an A/B testing or an implementation point of view. So if you're going to look at this, what I would say is that if you are going to do it, I highly recommend a monthly meeting internally with brands, e-commerce manager, e-commerce director, CMO, and I would also say if you have paid media or SEO teams, worth bringing them into the conversation. Everyone then, number one, from a political point of view, because let's face it, it can be pretty political in brands, they all then get an equal say in terms of their rankings, and you can kind of then hash it out together. And once it's then done, you can then keep analyzing the data based on the tests that you've done. So if you're using an A/B testing tool like Intelligems, you can put all the A/B tests onto there, you come back as a group, this worked, this didn't, right, let's reprioritize our tasks for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, wherever it might be. And you've got some of the people there that I've recommended as well, if you are, I guess, more of a leaner organization too. So I will always get this thing of, yeah, but that's all nice, Adam, but it's not some stuff we can just do now. Yeah, there is. But what I would say is with all of these things, the efficacy of these is always going to be better if you know there's a real reason to do them. But I want to share with you some things that a lot of you, I think, can do. Now, This first one that I've got is Petronics. They are a car parts firm in the US. With them, we asked a simple question. Would a more prominent search increase their conversions? To do that, we wanted to expose a search on mobile. So all we did is this. Left-hand side, original site. Right-hand side, new site. Expose search at the top. What happened? This. So this is something I think we have run this now 16 or 17 times in the past 12 months for different clients. Every single time there has been a positive uplift. Two benefits of this. One is that you get people searching, discovering products more easily on mobile, because if you have something like this here with a little magnifying glass, who the hell is going to be able to click into that? Have you seen the size of my thumbs? Secondly, though, the more people you get using the search, the more you learn as an organization. And I'll come back to that bit in a little bit, but that's one of them. Jackson's chips. Now, GA4, what we're seeing there is actually the search was showing the name of the product and ingredients. So what that says to us is we are not displaying this ingredient information properly or in a way that customers are getting when they see it on site. So let's actually test doing detailed accordions rather than a massive text that they had. So that's what this one looks like. On the left-hand side, you can see here, general description of what's there. Hard to find that bit of information you're looking for, resulting in customers going to search, trying to find the product there. We don't ideally want them to have to do that. So put them in accordions, make it easier, ingredients easily listed, 15% increase in conversion, 6% up on add to cart. So again, relatively small change, but big impact. Sports nutrition brand. Who likes GDPR and cookies? Okay. So look, the thing is, we've all been there, haven't we? What app should we use? Where should we put it? Da 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 da. We had this brand that we worked with in the UK and Ireland, and it was causing them serious bounce issues. So what we had originally is the kind of stock standard from the app that we were using, big fat pop up in the middle of the screen, which pisses everyone off, and I keep seeing it all the time. So what do? Very simply, try at the top, try at the bottom. This really is rocket science, isn't it? No, it's not, but you get the point. The thing with this one is, off the back of that, we saw top one, 22% decrease in the bounce rate, 30-odd% increase in conversion rate. So I'm sure, looking at all these things, these are all things that you guys could try out and do. But again, I'd always recommend looking at the data. Now, Paul said to me, can we pick on someone in the audience? So who's it going to be? Anyone nervous? Yeah. Huh? Is Madda here? Madda? From Rewind? No?
Probably not.
Okay.
I never met her in person.
Okay. So she's not here, but that's fine.
But they allow it to speak about their website.
Perfect. So yeah, Paul has spoken to one of his clients, and this is one of their client sites. Now, what I wanted to do here is kind of walk through, again here, nothing data backed here, but looking at the site based on best practice, things that I know and things that we've seen before, then here are some of the items we would do. Number one, we see it again, expose, search, and mobile. That one I will skip on from because we've already covered that one off. The other one that is, again, a very common test, and I'm sure some of you might recognize this, on your product page on mobile, you might have these kind of like dots, these kind of breadcrumbs. We found a lot of the time is that when you actually include these as images here, your customers are actually shopping with images at that point. The next level up from this is, I would say, include in here video content. If you're using Shopify, you can use an app called VideoWise. What VideoWise does is allows you to have the videos in here, but equally, when you click on it, there will actually be a call to action button on the video. It makes all of your videos shoppable. The other thing that VideoWise does, and I really like this feature, is in the background, it will scan all the social platforms where you guys have been tagged. Any video of you tagged, it will say, hey, we found you on YouTube, tagged by Paul, tagged by Adam. You can then select that video and you can then have that video on your site in a different section, wherever it might be. So social proof, trust indicators, your own content influencers, VideoWise is a great tool to use alongside that. Surface key proposition information above the fold. So what do we mean by that? What we mean is, ultimately, if you are scrolling on a mobile site, we need more information higher up. Now, with Madda's site here, what we can see is that, look, you have to go quite a long, deep scroll, 2.5 scrolls, to get to the key product information. That image is take up a lot of the visual real estate in terms of there, probably sort of more than 50%. We would want to shift everything up to make sure that people are actually seeing the right information they need. So that's another one, again, that you would be able to validate with those heat map recordings. A little bit more here about making the add to cart button prominent, and as well also some stuff on the urgency side of things. So, you know, urgency and scarcity is always one I think that kind of freaks people out a little bit, because it can feel a little bit spammy, can feel a little bit cheap. But what I would say, you know, with urgency is it is more about, you know, sort of that honest urgency of, look, order now to get shipping tomorrow. Or, you know, if you have stock levels and, you know, having true reflections of your stock levels, showing those on certain products. If you know you have products that are, you know, in demand and actually you don't have a whole lot of stock of them, tell them there are 3 left. There are things like that you can do rather than kind of, you know, having the pop-up saying, Dave in Upton Snodsbury just bought this one. You know, okay, I know, look, I'm sorry if you got on your site. I don't like them. I don't think they work, but hey, that's my opinion. However, moving on. Guarantees. Now, this, do you know what? This drives me mad, right? Brands have great guarantees, have great trust indicators, have great case studies, all that stuff. But on the product page, where are they? They're not there. You're still expecting some people, and I'm saying you, it sounds a bit aggressive, sorry, but some people are still leaving those elsewhere on the site. Your homepage, frankly, most of your customers, especially those coming from Meta, probably don't give a shit about your homepage. They're never going to go to it. They're going to look at your product page and they're going to be evaluating you, doing their due diligence on you based on what's on your product page. Bring that in. It can be a small icon. It can be a small piece of text, like you've got here, just below. Showing that information very quickly, get them to validate, okay, this is a trustworthy company. Yes, I do want to buy from these guys. The other ones that we've got in here is sticky add to cart button on mobile. Pretty simple one to implement. But all this means, again, is that any point when they are scrolling through your page or through your site on mobile, that add to cart button is literally only a thumb move away. They don't have to scroll back up, scroll back down. You're making it easier. In terms of experience, it's easier to shop. And then the other one as well is the expand your related products section. I think, you know, with related products, there are some great tools there and there are some really bad tools there. You've probably all seen it yourself. You know, has anyone ever bought anything from Wayfair, the kind of homewares company? I don't know if anyone's ever shopped with them. You know, I get emails. I bought a rug from them about 3 years ago. I get like emails and I get ads about like garden tools. Where did you get that from? I just don't understand it. And it's the same with the site. So building out those recommended products, you know, there are some great tools out there like Rebuy, which help you kind of do more curated upsells, cross sells, but give more options in case they don't go and buy that core thing that you're trying to sell them on that product page. So what I want to leave you with, a few things. If you are going to be thinking about your current list of things to do for the site, have a PETI meeting. I dare you to do it. Give it a go. Sit down with your group of people with that spreadsheet and get everyone to score each of those things. You will get off the back of that. Then still your list has got stuff to be done. Some things though will go right at the bottom. Some things will go at the top. That hopefully then will give you an ability to get more of this stuff done rather than it just kind of sitting there and growing and growing and growing and growing to the point that you go, how do I even manage this? So that's the one thing that I definitely want to leave you with. If you would like me to send you a copy of the PETI spreadsheet that we use at my agency, I'd be more than happy to send that to you. I think the slides are going out afterwards, and I will also resend around that link that I said before. You know, look, AI is a wonderful thing, but as we saw today, it don't always work just yet. And I've got a few other cool AI tools that I can share with you that we've built internally. So, does anyone ask me anything at all? Cheers. Okay, I'm gonna move this around. G, go for it.
Yeah, so you was on the product pages, you were talking about video wise, adding the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And 100% agree. One of our clients added a video and they also added like a 3D.
Like a render, yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know the stats behind it or anything like that, and I'm not sure if you have any, but could that also play a big part, especially if you're selling high ticket items like a table or a sofa or anything like that? because from my point of view, as in me personally, and I might sound silly, I'm more likely to look at a video or a 3D image because I can see it all, if that makes sense. But do you notice that when people add that, or when merchants add those kind of features in, that there's naturally just for fun, literally just like the to do nothing else, but generally we see a lot of lifting.
Yeah, so with video, the shuffle videos with video wise, they convert at sort of like 25 to 27% when they are viewed. They're incredible. The other one that still converts very highly are on-site quizzes we see. Tools like Octane AI, so like product finders, find your perfect meal kit, all that kind of stuff. The nice thing with some things like that as well is that not only do you convert them, you've got much better zero-party data on them. So like if I fill a quiz in, you know that I like chili, you know that I've got a family of 2, you know that I'm trying to lose weight. All of your email marketing to me is all personalized. So yeah, stats from our side and stats from VideoWise is that you use those, conversion rate, and also as our AOV tends to be higher because, like you say, you're just giving people more of a feeling, closer to being in the store as possible. Other tools that are kind of coming in, the try-on type tools. So there is one called Vibe Shopper that's coming out. You can on an apparel site, if you've got a clothing site, you can upload a picture of yourself. You can create a wish list of all your items maybe that you want to have to wear for an event. And then once that's done, it will show an image of you dressed in all of those. Is it quite as good as it needs to be yet? Probably not. But 6 months time, I think that will definitely get there. So yeah, thanks, G. Thanks for your question. Paul.
Yeah, just want to comment out. So Mother just texted me on WhatsApp. Hi, Paul. Just let you know I was not able to make it in person today. However, I'm watching the live stream. Thank you, Adam, for using Rewind as a sample.
Good stuff.
So if you don't mind, like anything, like links, etc.
Yep.
Feel free to edit the presentation.
Yeah, sure.
If missing, send it over because it will be also on the camera scam site. So link and follow, like anything you want to put, or just put into the email campaign to all of the attendees for everyone who is online. Anything you want to put in this email, like we have a spot.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Cool. Yeah, Izzy.
Are there any things you see lots of brands doing? Like, are there any traps that people keep falling into? Because I feel like we're similar amounts. Like, we have a list of like 100 backlogged things that we're either going to test or we're going to roll out and stuff. And I feel like recently we've been trying a load of things where we're kind of like, oh, that didn't actually like work. Are there just some things that you've seen, tried, most often than not, they don't work, so we can just like cross them?
Okay. I think higher level, the biggest issue I see when it comes to CRO is that particularly when you've got, and I'm sorry if you're in brand, but when you have the branding team involved, that's where it gets difficult because you want things to look a certain way. And we always have this argument, with kind of design focused people is, well, look at Amazon. It's ugly as sin, but it converts like hell. And it's getting that right balance with your brand equity versus what you want the site to do. I think from the point of view of, things that definitely don't work, that is a harder one to be able to say because ultimately different types of companies do better with different groups of customers, which sounds like a bit of a cop-out. But what I would say is the main thing for me on the product page, treat your product page as God. Secondly, to your product page is your navigation. So the other thing, and it's coming to me now as well when you said this, is search. People do not spend enough money on search. Search for me is probably the most overlooked thing and where people do cock it up a lot. So I'm gonna say search, making sure your navigation is done well. Have a mega menu, but don't have 25 different selections below it because it confuses. You see it on the heat maps. People go, whoa, Jesus Christ, where am I going? So that element of it, and I say product page is God. The rest of it, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Can I
Yeah.
quickly, right? So there's 2 platforms if you already have A/B test ideas. There's one platform called goodui.org that you can subscribe, and there's a bunch of the agencies posting ideas there. That's the one that works. And then when we will be having this e-commerce camp in Manchester on September 26th, I've invited the founder of eVidoo. It's another platform, eVidoo, evidoo.io. It's a platform which allows you to see the different A/B tests, and like you can see if it was green or not. And the founder will be on our next event in Manchester.
Cool. Look forward to that one. That'd be good. Sorry, question next to you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're showing the website where you said that it's good to add some video content on the product page,
Yeah.
right? And did you test what should be the order in terms of content? So, for example, the main product picture or photo should be then it should be the video. Second in a row should be the video, or it should be at the end. Or how should we, or how many videos we should add, for example? We should test that 2 videos, 1 video, or maybe 3. We've got lots of content to share, but I don't want to overload the website to slow down the speed. I don't want to bombard the customer with lots of different videos and stuff. I want it to be simple, but in the same time, I want to add the value, as you said, like with video. But where is the balance?
Sure. No, it's a very good question. So I think the first thing to address here is, from a site speed perspective, the beauty of tools like VideoWise or Firework, there's probably some more out there as well, is that video is not actually hosted on the site. So there is no impact in terms of your site speed. So that's a good start. From a video content point of view, we tend to put the video, if it's an explainer video, i.e. showing you how to, like for example, we have one client who is a baby's buggy company. As you probably expect with that, how do you actually unfold the damn thing? That's the kind of the biggest question in mind. Second video in, this is how you unfold it. Ah, right, okay, I'm fine, no problem. Which is the kind of shit that I needed as a new dad, 6 years ago. Oh, what do I do? The other thing as well with video, I would say, is we've also tried in that, the main section of the images, if you've got a really high quality testimonial from a customer, that also works pretty well. But on the images front, I would also like to show you, and I hope they're still doing this, some friends of ours, Absolute Collagen. And if anybody's a beauty brand or a wellness brand, I'm doing an event with these guys in Birmingham on the 17th of September. Please let me know and I can get you a ticket for that. Yes, so they have started doing this on their images, and it's becoming more common now. And I've seen it on a couple of tests that we've run, is whereby you are using these kind of annotated images. They are now doing very well. Like I said here,
so I've been using this now for a good few weeks.
Video here.
The
it's also telling people how to use the product. They're using, obviously, Emma Willis as their influencer, so that kind of adds to it as well. But
so the key sort of, if you like, USP of the product, rather than losing it in the text, just whack it on a picture.
Exactly. So again, you're
look 10 years younger with this cream.
Exactly. So if you think about this lineup of images here, now what I would have done personally is I would have put that video last, as in the last in the carousel, and then had on one play of this video, so I would personally have by now. So you can even, in a way, kind of don't worry about the PDP text. You can see I've used quite a bit. Kind of let the images and the videography do it for you. So that was, I think that was a pretty good example, but that would how I would maybe change that around.
Skin, protecting the skin barrier. It's a beautiful product, and I'm loving using it.
Younger people, do people even read the text nowadays?
I think look, we're different masses of different people. We want people to read it, but equally we want it to be discovered by Google, and now want it to be discovered by LLMs. So in terms of making sure that the video content is found, this is also being prioritized by AI now. So video content is also a great way to try and rank. Sorry, I think I had another question. Sorry.
Speaking about the good practices, we're moving forward so fast, and something that was really good, and everybody was suggested on YouTube educational videos or anywhere, or to implement certain practices on the website 2 years ago. Today it could be no. Can you do you have a few examples that used to work in the past really well, but in 2025 it's a strict no?
No, it's
so. For example, I see less and less websites offering email subscription and an exchange of like 5 to 10% off or something like that. It's less and less common, and I think it's going away. However, talking of my example of my website, I know that it works really well for us, and we still keep it. This irritating pop-up, get 10% off or get £10 off in exchange of your email. We keep it. I personally, I don't like it, but it works.
I would say, look, in terms of email sign-up specifically, my recommendation would be here is that if you are finding that you are not getting good levels of sign-up with that, but equally as well, what is the value of that customer that you then get from that sign-up? You might want to look at a different approach to collect email addresses. Now, this is an ex-client of ours, Hunter and Gather. You may have seen they sell condiments, oils, powders, vitamins, supplements, that kind of thing. Now, the issue they had is that they needed signups on the site, but secondly, when someone comes to this site, if I come to it, I am someone who's gone into ultra-processed free foods, blah, blah. I know a little bit more what I'm talking about. But if, a guy walks into the street, he's like, oh, what the hell is this Hunter and Gather thing? Or you might have a therapist coming on. The customers, they come stumbling into their online shop, they're all over the place. How the hell do they know what that person needs? So what this was done was with something called Octane AI. And what Octane AI does is gives you an opportunity to do a quiz on site, which you probably expect. All this information can then be selected as we go through. And what is happening, and the beauty of this for me is, not only are you at the end, as you'd expect, going to get some recommendations of products to buy, if you are also using Klaviyo, all of this data will sync with Klaviyo. So now the record for me as Adam Pierce, and because I've done this before, it hasn't asked me for my email address, but my email address goes in, your welcome flow to me could be, hey, check out our new barbecue flavored products because I've selected barbecue. That's all dynamic. You don't have to do it yourself, but you just need to start up. So I think that is something that I would say, the 10% off the sign up is less compelling. This is a good opportunity to kind of do something a little bit different there.
So what's that recommendation?
It's called Octane AI. Is the name of the tool. There are other quiz solutions out there. It's just that for me personally, we've used this one countless times. I think the other kind of side of this too, in terms of this kind of like whole data collation piece, is you might also want to just actually do what I would call dynamic pop-ups, where you can maybe ask 1 or 2 questions. So if you have a pop-up at the moment and it's 10% off, maybe under that, ask them what their size is. What size you generally take for your shirts? Great. Medium. Right. Every single email, I'm only sending the product that we have stock for medium. So you can kind of work up to this level, but you don't need to go full pelt with the quiz straight away. So hopefully that's something. But get in touch with me. I can give you some more thoughts on that as well. Questions, Sarah?
Yes. For a small brand, what would be the kind of 3 fundamental things that you would prioritize in terms of optimizing pages?
And what kind of product do you sell? Sorry.
So it's men's tailoring.
Okay. Great. For me, I would say, without having like lots of data and as a new brand, a long lead sales page effectively for your product. So ultimately, if it's men's tailoring, I guess you've got, what is your average order value, sort of like 500 plus, is it? Or
so it's about 140.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So you're up there. I think making sure then that with that long lead sales page, you're taking them through the process that you go through, and then having things like your sticky add to cart button on there. Do you do consultations as well, or is it directly purchasing from the site?
Just,
okay. So I was going to say, if you're doing consultations as well, bringing that into it as well, it would be quite a good move. If you have a look at Batch London, so they're some pals of mine. We don't work with them, but they are kind of doing that sort of long lead style page for their suits. Not so much on the jackets and stuff that they've got, because it's a slightly different price point. But I think, again, with if you're starting out, think about getting a simple, clean theme if you're using Shopify, Don't worry about, you know, having all the features and gizmos and functions whatever there. Ultimately, what you need to do is get some damn traffic to that site. Make it simple to check out, and that's all to worry about. Once you get to, you know, 5,000, 10,000 visits a month, then you can start doing all this kind of like, you know, CRO focused stuff, but clear and simple as possible to get that customer to check out or give you their information. G.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, so one of the frustrating things that I come across personally, I'm actually colourblind, and what's really frustrating, and if you ever see me in the shops around Primark or places like that, I do actually go up to strangers and like, what colour is this? And they always think I'm taking a pic, right? But I've noticed on a lot, especially apparel websites, or like we can find blind to it, they don't have the colour codes, and they might have the colour itself, but when you hover over it, it doesn't tell you what it is, and that's, to me, that's very frustrating because I'm always, unless my wife's at home, I'm sitting there guessing. But for you guys, is that something that you guys want to test that, and obviously you recommend to the client that say, hey, you know, just as an FYI, you should probably implement this. But also as well, we actually have some clients that they use shopping ads, but mainly for like a hook, right? Because their salesperson is significantly younger and the price of the product is very, very big. But one of the things that that they tried on the landing pages, because obviously you've got very technical spec, and to someone like myself, I'm rapid with numbers, but with reading it takes me a minute, right? Is that something else that you guys test as well with regards to the actual the language, as in terms of the English? So do you simplify terminology? Do you make it user friendly?
Yeah.
Of that? Is that something you guys test as well?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of part of our remit as well, because ultimately, again, when we observe behaviours through these kind of like quantitative tools, we've got to kind of put that into some kind of qualitative output, and part of that is always going to be copy. But your point you made about the colours, look, a lipstick brand we once worked with, this was massive for them because, you know, as a lot of ladies and some of the men will know as well, lipstick on different lips shades is going to look completely different. So what we did with them is that on their imagery, we had 4 different images of different skin tones and different lip types to show the color on there. There's some AI tools again that are coming about that can do that, which is quite good. The other one as well that's quite a useful way of doing it, it's not something that we did, I've seen it before. If you have fabrics that look different in different lights, showing on the product page that in different lights is a really nice move as well. I don't know the data behind it, but my thought process is that, you know, look, that's what it's going to. Anyone like Vinted here? Me, okay, right? It drives you mad sometimes, doesn't it? Because like I like Ralph Lauren shirts, and that's my thing at the moment, okay? But you know when you see on Vinted, dark light, and you get and you're like, this is absolutely, like, it looks great. It was supposed to be blue. It's the same thing, isn't it? But with e-commerce. So I think there's some stuff like that again we need to test as well. That all comes in our remit. But I think that's what you've got to do on the CRO piece is get your quantitative numbers and say, right, what are the qualitative things that can kind of affect it? But that's what, for my mind, a good CRO agency should be doing it all. Yeah. Cool. Zach?
From the live chat, someone's asked if there's any value in 360-degree image spinner options amongst product images, and if yes, can you recommend any apps compatible with software?
Is there any value? Problem with 360 that I've talked with personal experience here is, in terms of getting those built, they are very expensive to get built. I do not know really of any solutions that are out there, and someone probably watching can answer this, that I don't know of those that are there, but my kind of feeling on those is that ultimately with a 360 image, the idea is that you are trying to give that customer a better view of what it's going to be like to have that product in their hands. For me, I would say a cheaper and better way to do it would be to have actual customers holding that product, using that product. Even if it is, you just literally hire a studio and do some video shoots on an iPhone, put it in HD mode and do it all the way around and show it being handled. That for me, I think for the vast majority is going to be better. I think 3D models, maybe a little bit of one of those things like, you know, that brand discussion. Oh, it's going to be great to have a 3D model, but what's the purpose? Get people to buy more shit. Okay. Do we need a 3D model? Not sure. So I know I'm kind of being a bit sort of sitting on the fence there, but I don't really think it's a necessity. Cool. All right. I think we're done. Yeah.
Good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.